There we go. Welcome back to Constantinople by Night. Ghostly Allies Part 3. What might ghostly allies mean? Nobody knows. Maybe there's tons of ghosts in Constantinople. I don't know. Possibly. I haven't said there's gotta be. Right, this is the world of darkness and this. Anyway. I'm rambling. This show is rated R because it's vampires, and vampires do terrible things to each other. Note the flesh crafting Tamish. And with us this time we have, please introduce yourselves to our lovely audience.
My name is PJ, and I will be playing Theodora, the Toreador, who has recently discovered that the beast is a terrible thing.
Yes, it is. Who wants to go next? Calixtus, obviously.
I'm Gozer. I'm playing Calixtus, the Koimatai monk. A lot of big words. He is spent most of his undead years cloistered in the monastery compound of the Albertus portion of the Trinity, and on the path of metamorphosis.
But he's now venturing outside.
Scary stuff. I should say the path of metamorphosis with interest in the Gaussian concepts related to it. And most recently, perhaps a cult founder. We'll find out.
Yeah, the Calixtanians. Calixtians, yeah. Water.
Yes, I am Water.
You are.
And I play the brew. Working as a bureaucrat and currently trying to prevent a priest at a church. Because where else would you find a priest?
That makes sense. Astonishingly enough, yes. You are absolutely chatting up the priest, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Wants me to get married. Of course he does.
Yes, you're of marriable age. A young bachelor like you. Also, what are you doing up this late? Anyway. It's 1 a.m. on April the 20th, 1197, in the year of our Lord. In the year of our Lord, 1197. That's how you say it. And various Cainites are doing various things. Demetrius, you're apparently... No, you're at the church, aren't you? Why is your token still in the Great Palace? I don't know.
Good question.
Who knows? Theodora has worked really hard on seduction and succeeded. And then killed.
Yes, much to the detriment of the person she seduced.
Yeah, exactly. And then you were summoned to the Great Palace.
Literally.
To have a chat with a particular Petronius, and now she has a new sense of purpose, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does.
Alright. Calixtus, let's start with you for reasons of alphabetical order. We are sitting out here in the meadows of Constantinople and watching these cult people who are now worshipping Calixtus as an angel. And what's the next step exactly here?
Good question. I'm going to perpetuate the ideology with them, this cult, this gathering.
Yes.
That in order to my divinely inspired powers, I must cleanse them portion of their human frailty and sin by drawing some of their blood. So I will morph them, ideally, mechanically speaking, at some point into a herd.
By this, I think you did some of that, or is like it. Your X's are the filled up blood pool, right? Yes.
Yeah, like right now I have.
You're very.
Yeah, I think I'm well fed. But as a goal, and starting to perpetuate that as like a practice with them, so that they don't fear me, and that is a sacred secret. let's say. And then I will visit upon them and do that. And then from time to time, when the inspiration from above comes to me, I will do what I can to cure the sick.
Of course. Yes.
Within reason.
Within reason. We did roll the Project Herd 1 goal. We've set that up. You have started with gaining your herd, which these people are going to be one day. We'll see how many nights and so on that might take. But clearly, we're spending quite a bit of time with these people to guide them in Calixtus's wisdom through matters theological and arcane. I sense that he is not using his charisma because his charisma is terrible. But I think this dynamic here is going to be, you know what? We need a name for the crone who was speaking here. Did we have a name for her yet? No, we didn't. Let's do this. We're gonna flesh out a proper connection here for Calixtus, which this crone is definitely gonna be a major fixture for this story over time. And I'm going to entice her to partake of my blood at least 3 times. Eventually,
probably once a month, I think, is a good pace to maintain the bond.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
And at some point, maybe even a token art for if you're inclined, because I think, barring unforeseen circumstances or ill-timed frenzies, she could probably be a long-term retainer. Or at least a ghoul that is recruiting for my little blood cult here. And I think what Calixtus would also tie in is that confessions and sharing of knowledge is key. So it will include a component where when he meets with them, they'll do a round circle, some sort of table, or on the ground if we don't have a housing yet, where we tell things, we share info with me, basically eyes and ears type of stuff. Yeah. If you want to confess your sins, if you want to confess the sins that you've seen others commit, things like that.
She's not a ghoul yet, but she will be, I'm sure, in time. We're going to call her Zenobia.
I like it.
Yeah. And what might she look like? Who knows? We'll have a token for her shortly, because you can't go too far without a token, right? I'm thinking of her, an old crone. She was blind, but you fixed her eye last time. She's like,
I wonder if you could still have the white of the eyes, but they function.
So she's gonna be like old and what more? Okay. Let's see what we get. Probably something amazing. Okay, Zenobia the Wise, obviously. That's what she's known as by her followers. You are talking to this group through Zenobia. The others are reacting in a mixture of enrapturement from your presence of... You don't have enough metamorphosis to have an actual positive aura yet, but you look really strange, and clearly they're all like, that's not a regular human walking the earth. It must be something else, and it's either a devil or an angel, and we don't really know yet, but everything that's happened so far is really cool, and Zenobia has her eyesight back, and she says this is an angel, so clearly it's an angel. As long as Zenobia says so, it must be so, right?
Not gonna complain.
Exactly. So let's hope that she's gonna be right about this, and it turns out that you're not a devil, you're an angel. Yes, that's what they hope for. Oh, how surprised and, shall we say, disappointed they will be sooner or later. There we go.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's Zenobia right there. I put her down. Yep, Calixtus is gathering his mortal followers, which is gonna consist of a few people, but he's talking through Zenobia. So this is gonna be like, that's why you're using your manipulation, so you can just speak to her alone. And I guess you have to lean into theology here, because you have to convince them that you are very much a part of Christianity, which is not a lie as far as you're concerned, because you are an Obertus Simish, and you have woven in the faith in the Christian God into the vicissitudian practices. So, as far as you're concerned, yeah, I'm holy, aren't I?
It's not that far off base. For him.
Exactly.
I think he is aware that there are traditional human churches would consider him a heretic or a seducer or worse, or an outright witch, but among the Albertus, the imitation of the divine is pretty common. He would have definitely picked that up from Tacitus.
Yep.
And,
And,
the others.
I don't think Calixtus would ever call himself an angel. I think the Cainite, like the Obertus monastic order, they consider themselves one step closer to the divine than humans because of Cain's blood. But I don't think any of them would. Maybe demi-angels or something? Like partial angels? They definitely see the power of Cain's blood as a blessing from God, in a sense. Also a curse, but also a blessing. Much Jesus had his torment. He was cursed to suffer on the cross. But he was also a holy person. And through his suffering, mankind was relieved of sin, right? That was his personal curse, but he used it to relieve. I think that's how the Obertus might rationalize there and connect their vampiric nature with divinity. But it's not like you must have heard of some of the Toreador who literally speak of Michael as the actual archangel. There are plenty of vampires in this city who believe that vampirism is a step towards God. Not just the Tsumish.
Oh, there's a whole road to heaven.
Exactly. There's a whole road, and this is one step up. Absolutely.
I think he would maybe present as more he is either a prophet and intermediary,
Yeah.
or perhaps touched or descended like a Nephilim. Because the Nephilim, I don't know in World of Darkness if they're fully fleshed out or not, but they're vague offspring of human and angel in the theology schools, I believe. So something vague. He's going to keep it vague. He's not going to get too detailed on what he is. It's just that he has the divine touch. He's a messenger.
The fact that the humans interpret you as an angel, because clearly God sends the angels as messengers. So when you say, I'm just a messenger, they're going to be like, yeah, he's definitely an angel, guys. Definitely angel. Only angels would speak like that, which is of course not true. But if they want to believe it, who are you to correct them?
Very good.
Yeah, yep. I see a situation developing here. We'll have, in 200 years, there will be an entire Calixtian sect stretched out over Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Or not. We'll find out. Okay, Demetrius Graphius, you're gonna spend the rest of the night together with the monk, the priest, you said?
About half of it. At some point, I think he will have to sleep, right?
Yes, he would.
As I thought as much.
You are a charismatic vampire. As a charismatic vampire, I'm pretty sure that you can encourage people to be awake longer than they're used to being awake. Really depends on, because unlike Calixtus, you are extraordinarily charismatic, aren't you? You speak and people swoon. You're basically Mark Antony in Shakespeare's play. Romans, friends, countrymen. Friends, Romans, countrymen. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope it ends up going a bit better, though.
Hopefully at the end, but my point is your eloquence. You will enrapture people when you speak. And I think this priest might be no different. How long do you want this man to stay awake, I wonder?
Let's see, that would be half, let's say 3, that's 3 a.m.
Okay.
You can get a little bit of sleep.
We need to have a big white beard for this guy, right? Because he's a priest after all. Father Stasius is
Has to be
Staphius.
careful I don't kill him with his lack of sleep.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Here we go. I have a Father Stasius. Everybody's gonna hook into their different... Is he ever gonna become a ghoul for you? We don't know yet. Maybe.
Depends, really. I wouldn't want to be hasty with making ghouls at this stage.
Fair, but he's
There's
talking
only
to
so
you.
much you can maintain, after all.
Yes, you're absolutely right with that. You'll run out of blood sooner or later. But here
Though
we go.
I imagine if you're old enough as a vampire, you can have continuous blood sacrifices all night. Which then immediately get filled to like hundreds of ghouls.
Possibly.
We're not
Staphius.
in Mexico.
Demetrius and Staphius are having very animated conversations, and Staphius isn't even realizing how quickly time passes because of your animated conversations, basically. Oh, Staphius was his name. Yeah, I already had a character sheet for him. Good. That is what we're doing in the church. What are we doing in the Great Palace, then, with our wonderful friend Theodora, who has just had a meeting with Petronius himself, and now has a new sense of purpose?
Barring any specific directions from Petronius, honestly, she'll head home.
Yeah, this...
It's been a night. It's been a night.
It has absolutely been a night. Yeah. You can say that again. Everything is pulling at me from all sorts of sides, and I don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
I don't know that Petronius has had a whole lot of other tasks for you, but he will ask you to do one thing for the clan before you leave.
All right.
I don't want to be too, how shall we say, too coarse in the way we work to reinvigorate our clan. I'd rather prefer discretion and tact. And so Theodora will know that the clan is divided into guilds. Artisan guilds, because you are nothing if not artisans, right? And you are a dancer, so you belong to the the performance, the guild of performances. And the clan leader for you would be Gregorius Demetrius, who, as it turns out, happens to be a Malkavian and not a Toreador at all. He's just an honorary Toreador.
Yes.
But the other muses, Michael, the Patriarch, is the muse of Constantinople as a whole, and nobody has seen him forever, as Petronius, who is officially the second in command, which makes him the first in command as long as Michael is sleeping, or away, or whatever. He is the muse of minor arts. So any arts that don't go into the other guilds goes into his area of direct control. And that is mostly poetry, other forms of literature, that sort of thing. So if you're writing prose, if you are Homer, or a new Homer, or a new Virgil, then Petronius would be your muse, basically. Because in this city, being an amazing writer is not very high status. Those are not important arts at all. They're just distractions. They're not the important arts that speak of civilization, such as, for example, the Guild of Architecture. Althemius of Tralles, who Theodora will recognize that name, no doubt. Let's see now. What is Theodora's academics? She has some, right? No!
No.
She has
She
no...
does
How is... Oh, right, because she is not a noble by birth. She never got educated. Okay,
Nope.
she will not know who Anthemius of Tralles is. I don't know how long her ignorance will... She'll be able to cover her ignorance, because I think most of the Toreador will expect her to be educated, because that's what you are. Yeah. Anyway, as long as she's good at her arts, she can get away with so much. The muse of painting is Pacorianus the Dove. You probably haven't met Pacorianus the Dove so far. Anthemius of Trallus you might have met on some clan meeting, but the clan meetings you have are mostly in church. Or going to a blood feast. So
She has.
no,
I don't think Theodora's been to a blood feast. Yet.
No. Paul Bathalos is the muse of sculpture, and you've never seen him either. So those are the three most important artistic pursuit in terms of just the status ranking. And painting, that goes into mosaics and the amazing murals and all that craftsmanship that is a testament to the greatness of the Roman civilization. So it shouldn't be surprising that painting and sculptures everywhere. You have a literal sculpture of Helen of Troy in the courtyard. There's the emperors, generals, various divine, statue of the Virgin Mary. There are so many. It's such an appreciated art form in this city. Before you leave, then, these are the muses that she will be aware of, and the clan organization that she's aware of. Before you leave, then, you'll have Petronius basically ask her that about this. Have you, over the last months, had an occasion to meet with the other muses, the muses of our clan? I know you are part of the performing guild, and Demetrius can be fickle because of the curse upon his blood. But nonetheless, I'm sure he can provide you with at least some guidance. He does appear at court on a regular basis, after all. But have you had the chance to meet with the other muses so far? Anthemios, Pacorianus, Paul?
I believe I had a brief conversation at the last court, and I do not believe Gregorius has deigned to meet with me. As to Petronius or Paul, I have not had the opportunity.
Yes. It would please me, should you find the time, aside from, of course, your devotions to your own guild, which I'm sure Gregorius will appreciate greatly, to maybe find out about the health and well-being of the architects of the city. It is one of our most prioritized guilds, after all, and I'm sure this new dynasty of emperors that have risen will want to mark their greatness and achievements with additions to the palace sooner or later. And we must make sure that those architects who are set to work on those additions will perform to the utmost creativity that humans can reach when they're properly guided by one of us.
I have had the opportunity to connect with Fatima, who is Anthemios' grandchild. Perhaps I can make inquiries, my lord.
That is an excellent idea. It's very good, neonate. You are, after all, no longer a child, are you?
No, my lord, I am not.
Perhaps at these nights, if one is of the blood, one needs to grow up quicker than how things were in my day. And that's like an implicit dismissal, basically, for you.
She will bow and leave.
Yep. And go straight for home then?
No, with
No.
that, she's actually going to see if she can find Fatima in the Grand Palace.
In the Great Palace. Who knows who you can find in the Great Palace? The Great Palace often hosts all manner of Cainites. I'm making notes for the future for absolutely no reasons. No reasons
for
at
no
all.
good reason.
Nope, that's has nothing to do with anything anyone is doing. Nope. Nothing. Alright, we are... By the time our friend Demetrius wants to start heading back to... or leave Stathius alone, because Stathius is gonna get very tired and needs his second sleep. Where are we heading then? You have a few hours left until sunrise, but I don't know how much you wanna...
Sometime, let's write some poetry.
Ah, okay. Are we going back to the palace then? Or the Senate?
Yeah, I'll just do that in my office.
Ah, of course. Yes. Calixtus, how long are you gonna stay up with Zenobia here? Are we gonna force her to be awake until daylight comes? Or are we leaving
No.
earlier than that?
No, I was thinking I will return after I see that she is ensconced with the first members of my following.
Yeah.
And I'll tell her I will be along to visit you again soon, and I will look forward to it. And I will return back to the Alberta stronghold.
Yes, Your Holiness. Yeah.
And
she
please
is
gather others.
enraptured and captivated by this, obviously.
Yeah. And then I'll make my way back to the monastery.
Very well. At the monastery, things might just happen. I need to have your token at the monastery on the monastery map. Otherwise, everything is wrong. See? Order. There. Yes, Calixtus is there. Oh, I should activate the map too, so you can actually see it. There we have it. Alright. Calixtus at the monastery. Yeah, let's see what might befall him tonight. Bad things, I'm sure. No, all good things. It's fine. Yes. It's all good. In fact, you are going to be visited by... or visited. You are going to be approached by, I should say, someone. I just need... I've updated tokens here, and I made them nicer and better looking. Because I have to. It's... every time they come out with a new filter, it's so much work. There we go. Much better. Okay. You have met her before, Leodora. She is a child of Pavel, who is one of the seniors within the Obertus hierarchy. But unlike a whole lot of other Cainites around here, she has never taken to the path of metamorphosis, much to the chagrin of her sire, probably. Indeed, she spends a lot of time with the monastery, but not just with the monastery. And when you... are we going back to the library? We're probably going back to the library, aren't we?
Sure.
That makes sense. So, when we are back in the library, it makes sense for you to meet her there, doesn't it? That is the place
Yes.
where you guys meet others of your own ilk the most frequently, I think. Oh, I haven't made the map visible for you. Stupid me. That's it. There we go.
Yeah, I still have Petronius is the one. Oh, there it is.
So it's gonna be around 3 in the morning. You have a few hours left of sunlight, and this night, Leodora. Between the shelves, there will always be some Cainites with deep hoods who just walk around and tend to the library. These are either the Keeper of the Faith, of course, or her ostensible childer, the Watchers, who help out as librarians. She's the chief librarian. She, who knows what gender, you never see her face. You see her tentacles every once in a while, but not her face. But of course, there will be others from the monastic order in the library as well. Every once in a while, perhaps not as often as Calixtus would like to see it. I don't know if Calixtus is feeling like there's a weird disconnect here with the Samish monks, in the sense that you're literally sitting on perhaps one of the greatest repositories of knowledge that has ever existed among Cainites, certainly, and the Kimete monks' inward lookingness. Most of your Obertus kin do not go to find enlightenment within these amazing tomes. They stay in the main monastery, they hang themselves on hooks, they fast, they meditate, they pray. Most of them don't see the use for the library in their quest for inner enlightenment at all, so it's really just like Calixtus and Leodora, and every once in a while one or two others. But she was
Mike is
certainly
known
here.
to frequent it as well, right?
Oh, Micah's frequents it, absolutely. But Leodora is here this night, looking over a section of the library, and she will nod towards Calixtus, and then look up at Calixtus again, and be in deep thought, and slowly approach, actually.
He's expecting an interaction because he had a hint from Micah, from his interaction with Micah, that there might be an opportunity here. So he'll graciously bow when he sees you. Greetings, lady. Good evening, pleasant evening.
She will nod back. Obviously, she is of higher status than yourself, so it is only appropriate that you prostrate yourself deeper to her than she does to you.
No, of course.
Calixtus. Brother Calixtus. We haven't had many opportunities to speak yet, have we?
Unfortunately, very few. I relish the chance for more.
Silent contemplation is all well and good in our quest for the divinity within. But there is something to be said for the exchange of ideas, isn't there, between individuals?
Indeed, I am of a like mind.
I heard a rumor that you left the monastery earlier tonight and ventured outside.
There is a world beyond, and to get perspective of within, sometimes it is good to also experience some time without, meaning with outside the monastery.
What a novel perspective. I like your idea, though.
I understand that you yourself, the requirements of your duties require you to spend a good bit of time about not only the monastery, but outside of the city, traveling the lands, acquiring knowledge and lost tomes, and great secrets of old.
I do what I can to contribute to this library, certainly. Why don't we have our first roll for the session? Perception, empathy. Read her state of mind.
Coming up, perception, empathy. That should be...
Let's see how good she is at hiding it, though. A difficulty 6, because it's just a contested roll.
Would my specialty of insightful apply?
Absolutely.
Ugh, couple ones there.
Those dice
but
are so
still.
pink. You can't quite read her emotionless face. She is inscrutable. As I recall it, it's been many decades since most of the Akimete monks and nuns here have left the monastery to go outside. They spend absolutely most of their time with inwards contemplation. What is your impression of the outside from this brief glance?
They have not developed the insight, the spiritual insight that we are blessed with in these walls. However, there's much to know. There's different things are different, very different to me. I was outside of these walls many years ago, but I lacked the perception of a Cainite at the time to appreciate those differences. So I am I will confess, I am curious. I'm certainly devoted here, but I am curious to see more of the outside again.
You might actually be able to serve the clan and the order in a capacity outside these walls. I am working hard to supply the library as much as I can, but I am simply one person. There is only so much ground I can cover. Perhaps you can do your duty towards this as well.
I think that is a most intriguing offer. I'm very interested.
Well, there is a renowned scholar from Alexandria, apparently. He's known as Basilides. He's recently arrived in the city. However, he's in the Latin quarters, as far as I know. But he is said to possess a tome of some interest to us. Probably penned by one of our own clansmates.
What's the name of the tome?
The Tome of Changing Essence.
That certainly sounds like something one of our kind might have penned.
Indeed. I think
What
it
would you have me? I'm sorry. What would you have me do?
I think it would be worthy to bring the tome to this library in some fashion.
Is this individual Silihedis Azamishi or something else?
Oh no, I believe this person is still breathing.
Oh. Do you know if he is familiar with our kind?
I do not. I only have heard of this scholar through word of mouth and some of his writings in the past. I've never had the chance to meet him in person, and I'm afraid my duties I am pursuing other works of import that we want to add to this library along other avenues of investigation, and it will probably take me out of the city for a little while. So, if you are in fact working outside the walls of the monastery, then perhaps this could double our efforts in increasing the collection.
I would be honored to contribute to that. This individual, what would you recommend for method of approach? Do you think he would be cooperative?
I do not know. You will have to study him from afar, perhaps. I don't think that... Now, this is, again, a rumor. I haven't been able to ascertain whether the tome is even in his possession. But he is supposed to be what they now call a doctor, helping with healing of humans in various capacities. And I think maybe that is one of the reasons why he came upon this tome. But you would have to ask him.
I wouldn't intend to do so then.
Of course, since this is in the Latin quarters, it would be important for us to avoid conflict with the locals. The local Cainites.
Is there... So that begs two questions. One, are you aware if this doctor has a Cainite master that he's beholden to?
I have no idea.
And the other question would be, do I need to present to anybody in the Latin Quarter? I know of it. I know sometimes there are brutal slobberies there. brutal people and slobs there as well, among the learned. Is there somebody I would need to present to there?
You could try to approach the Latin quarters through the South Aswad. It is a restaurant where one would most commonly meet Cainites from those quarters and be able to reach out to them, communicate with them, make treaties with them, perhaps, however temporary. And from there you should be able to connect to the local authorities. Of course, Bishop Alfonso is the local authority, and you'll have to contend with his capriciousness. There are many rumors about the bishop. Most of them are not really to his advantage, I would say.
Is he beholden? Who is he beholden to in the triumvirate?
No one. The
No one.
Latin quarters are ceded territory. They are not under the domains of the Trinity at all. They are beholden to... He is beholden to his sire, Prince Narcissus of Venice. Which means that the Latin quarters are technically under Venetian domains.
What is the name of the restaurant?
South Aswad.
How do you spell it?
South Aswad.
Oh, thank you. If they should require a fee for the tome, would I be able to draw on resources to cover that?
Unfortunately, my resources are probably too small for that. But I will try to help in whatever way I can. I can make at least some coinage available. Perhaps I'm not going to prescribe to you exactly how to approach this matter. I'm sure if there are other Cainites among the Trinity interested in learning about what is happening inside the Latin quarters, I'm sure they might do a common cause with you in some fashion or another.
That could be of advantage. Do you have anybody in mind by chance?
haven't spoken enough to the others, but I think perhaps because my duties very rarely bring me to the Latin quarters. This is a very unique case as far as I'm concerned. I'm mostly developing networks with Alexandria, of course, but Rome and Baghdad as well. And there are new institutions being founded in Europe, in the West, much like our university, which is, these are centers of learning after all, so it's very interesting. I digress, I'm sorry. Try Micah Vicus, child of Simeon. He is, after all, Simeon's assistant in all matters that relate to liaising with the other clans of the Trinity, the other families of the Trinity.
Okay.
Indeed.
A resourceful individual, no doubt.
Oh yes, I should say so.
Any other words of wisdom in regards to this endeavor that I should keep in mind?
Rumor has it that Basilides was exiled from Alexandria because of his heretical pursuits in the medical arts.
I would imagine the kind, with your limited understanding of anatomy, would be intimidated by somebody that had knowledge, even if it was just in a tome, from one of our kind. So I could imagine that. I look forward to procuring this tome. I appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. I bid you good night then, brother.
He'll take a sweeping bow and he'll politely wait until she has left the room before he moves.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the great palace, there are intrigues upon intrigues here tonight, aren't there? And we would have nothing less because it's the Byzantine Empire, and there's supposed to be intrigues, aren't there? Theodora, who is now looking to find other Cainites in the palace. And there will be. She will be walking around, and the palace is, of course, huge. So many nooks and crannies to hide in, so many parks to engage in. All sorts of interesting pursuits, be they carnal or social and secretive in nature. No one shall say anything but that the intrigues of the city are Byzantine, if you will. Sorry, couldn't help myself. Well, the first person you will meet tonight, who is also of Cainite blood, there's, of course, as you're walking around in the Great Palace, it's a small place. It's a great palace, so in terms of how just impressive this palace complex is, it is substantial, but it doesn't mean that it takes a lot of minutes to walk around the palace ground, necessarily. It would take more minutes to walk around and orient yourself in all the rooms and all the stairways and all the levels, but there's only so much hiding space for Cainites in this place, that's what I'm saying. And I think you will recognize one Cainite, more or less an honorary Toreador, if exactly. Gregory the Wonder Maker. Have you ever met him before? I don't know. You've seen
I don't
him.
think so.
You've probably seen him at court, presenting his wonders, his mechanical, strange things. Birds, animals of other kinds, even trees that sway in non-existent winds with silver leaves. He does strange things. Very strange things.
Gotcha. So this is Gregory, not to be confused with Gregorius.
That's
Gotcha.
correct. Because, of course, there is more than one Greg in this city.
Let me check something. I need to see where on the pecking order I am here with him.
Lower?
Yeah, much lower.
Actually,
Yeah.
no. Let's see now.
No.
He has...
He's an honorary Toreador, right?
Ish. He's
Ish.
he's not like Gregorius Demetrius, who is actually an honorary Toreador and has
Gotcha.
like status within the clan. Rather, he is someone who amuses the Toreador so much that they allow him to be around.
Gotcha.
But he actually doesn't have any status in the city at all. He's not a scion. He's not recognized. So in theory, he can be murdered any moment in the Trinity.
Oh, convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know Theodora's bloodthirsty.
Yeah, because that's who she is. Connected with any of the guilds, or is he just his own independent thing?
He's very much his own independent thing, yeah.
Okay.
None of the guilds fit what he does. He is creating mechanical wonders. Nobody else is doing that.
Gotcha. So I am technically higher status than him, even though he is older.
Yes, very much. And he is, as far as he is a Ravnos elder. But you stand higher because you're a Toreador and a member of the family. Even Demetrius the Bruja stands higher than him because he's also a recognized member of the Scion families. So whenever Gregorius is doing a lot of bowing all the time when he meets all the Cainites of the city, and this is no different. There's no difference here. He's gonna bow deeply towards you. You're walking around in the palace, and he is he's sitting at his place with. He's tinkering with a golden bird. He has some tools. He's working on the mechanics of it, apparently. Even as a brooch in the form of a spider is walking back and forth across his shoulder.
Creepy. Okay.
Just a little bit, maybe.
So Theodore will give him the slightest of nods in return to his bow. And say, "A pleasure to meet you, Wondermaker."
When he's seeing you, he's not just bowing. He's standing up from his work and putting his tools aside and doing the proper bow. My lady, Theodora, yes?
That is correct.
It is an honor to meet you here tonight. I hope God's shadows are treating you well.
It has been an interesting evening, to say the least. Not the least of which due to the mechanical wonders I see you are creating.
One does one best, of course. Let me see here, and he smiles a bit, if I can perhaps finish this. And he will use his metal tools to turn a knob and maybe tighten a screw. And you think there is some kind of weird metallic piece that looks like a spiral. I have a feeling that your knowledge of mechanics is
non-existent.
Non-existent. So you have no idea what he's doing. It's just strange to you. And then he again turns some other screw, several turns with his tool set, and let's see how this works. And then he lets go, and see! The bird is flying through the air, fluttering on its wings, right across your field of vision, and towards a tree, where it will land at the bottom of the tree. Doof.
Oh.
Ha! Look at that. It worked! It's going to be part of my next celebration of life. I understand that Paul appreciates the flight of birds, and I'm trying to mimic the flight of birds with my little contraptions here. I think I'm getting to the proper settings at last. It's taken me a century.
When one works that long at something, one tends to master it, and I see that you are, at the very least, close.
Indeed.
Wondermaker, it has been a pleasure, but I have other things to attend to this evening.
Of course. I pray that Saint Michael will watch over you tonight.
It is my hope that he does for us all.
He will bow very deeply, his robes with a gold filigree and various semi-precious stones. Apparently he's not as rich as some of the other Toreador in the city. Glint a bit in the dark as he bows, and he will let you go, as it were.
Yeah, Theodora will wander off. Gregory, that type of stuff is just weird to Theodora. Why would you do stuff like that?
Because it's fun and you gotta have a hobby to get through on life? Who knows?
Whatever passes the time and keeps you from the beast.
Exactly. Yeah, he's apparently a jolly fellow, isn't he?
Yes. If he had some importance to her mission, she might have spent some time with him. But he doesn't, so she's
But he
moving on.
doesn't. Shame.
Yep.
As far as she knows, at least. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
You're not gonna be disappointed in this palace tonight. You will, in fact, meet other Cainites as well. This is the place to meet Cainites, after all.
Yes.
And you will do hearing as you are walking through one set of apartments in this expansive palace complex. Are we doing height and senses tonight, Theodora? No? There's lots of smells in the palace. Perfumes, incense.
I think right now, no, because she doesn't want to get confused by all that. So no, not right now.
That's
not unless
fair.
there's a reason to.
She's gonna see, this is gonna be a little bit later when she's still trying to find Anthemios, or the grandchild, Fatima. And out across the floor runs a person who is absolutely, completely naked. This person has blood streaming down the arms and a little bit along the legs as well. And is laughing, in fact. Also, it's a woman. She's not paying attention to you that much, but when she finally sees you, she's stopping and giggling and laughing even higher and starting to run off in a different direction. And after her is another person running in, shall we say, an equal state of clothing. Is very bloody around the mouth, fangs out, laughing very loudly. Some blood drips have dripped down on her chest. And she stumbles after this first person and look towards you when she sees you, and she starts laughing. She starts laughing.
Oh.
She's very pale, and she doesn't hide her pallor, her ashen pallor, though she has slightly flushed cheeks by now. And she's gonna look towards you. Oh, you are one of the new ones, aren't you? The new one, aren't you? What is your name again?
With a deep bow to Galatea the Ancilla, Theodora will say, I am Theodora, child of Ophelia.
You will know this much about Galatea. She doesn't have more status than you.
Oh, okay.
You're on equal terms, because you've heard all the rumors about this fallen one. Petronius has openly called her his greatest mistake.
Ah, so never mind about the bow, just a slight nod.
Oh, you have... Look at how pristine everything you wear. Oh, it's just so pristine.
I do try to keep appearances.
Why, though?
Let us say it is my way of keeping the beast at bay.
Why would you want to keep the beast at bay, sweetie? And she's just going to grab one of your cheeks and shakes it a bit.
No, she is not going to be touched by this woman.
Why? Missing, and she's just...
Yes.
This is so prude. Oh, so prude. Don't tell me you go to church and worship the archangel, too. Oh, my meal is getting away. Do you want a taste? She's delicious. And she's...
Oh.
I fed her the finest wines and some opium too. It's gonna make you feel good.
Okay, this is a humanity deal for her, because this confirms that this person is not really consenting and is probably suffering, and because of her road and path, Theodora can't let that go.
Ooh. This is true, isn't it? The road of humanity,
the path of
breath.
Yeah.
You're knowingly
we're gonna
letting
have
a
fun
human
later.
suffer. What was that?
Yeah, knowingly let people suffer, and this is obviously, this mortal is suffering. So, plus you add the fact that she recently, of what happened earlier this evening, and Theodora is going to turn on awe.
Ooh. Okay. Okay, let's see now. Spend a blood point, roll charisma performance. Difficulty 7.
Alright, here we go. Charisma, difficulty 7. Her specialties don't apply. Seductive and reading the crowd, absolutely not.
Nope, not in this case. You were not trying to seduce her.
No,
Apparently.
she's trying to cow her.
Yep. That is 3 successes. If there was a crowd here, you would affect more than one Cainite, clearly. But there isn't. Still, that's 6 people would have been affected.
It's possible she's focusing all of that on Galatea.
Yeah, you can't really use awe in that fashion, but
Right.
she's the only one here, so she's going to be affected by it first, because that's how it is.
And the way awe works, if I remember correctly, is that it's a specific emotion that I want her to feel, correct?
Yeah, to capture the attention of those around
Okay.
you. They're drawn
Alright.
to you and can't help themselves from laughing at your jokes or things like that. So, yeah,
Right.
you're commanding the impression of this person now.
Okay.
So she's going to be like, yeah, you are an interesting little morsel, aren't you? Of course, vampires who have been around a while will know what this is and can resist it with a single willpower point.
So she could easily do that.
What was that?
Galatea would know exactly what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
But she, with that, capturing her attention, making sure it's on her, Dora will say, leave her be and find other sport.
Why, though? You are such a spoil sport. Now we have a social interaction here. Are we using charisma? Are we using...
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Intimidation?
Yes, charisma and intimidation. Exactly.
Oh my goodness. She's gonna try to resist this with her wits and... what? Empathy, I think, for some reason. I don't know why.
Actually, that makes sense because Theodora is not an intimidating figure. This is not her natural state. Empathy would see right through what she's trying to do to the heart of her, which she's a little mouse.
Fair enough. Let's see how many successes you get.
All right.
Moha.
Difficulty 6 since it's an opposed roll, correct?
Indeed.
Charisma and intimidation. Here we go. As appropriate.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah, she's bad at this.
I think the response from Galatea will be, oh, he's getting away. One moment she's there, the next she is racing down the hallway, obviously breaking the silence of the Codex of Shadows.
Yep.
But she's also faster than you because she's older than you, so
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you tried.
I did, and against honestly overwhelming force, Theodora will feel good about that.
Yep. You're not gonna you tried to stop this and you failed.
Yes.
But at least now you've witnessed for your own personal self the absolute degeneration and cruelty of those fallen.
Yes. And the exactly what Petronius has asked her to fight against.
Yep.
So,
Maybe her sense of purpose is reaffirmed by this.
I actually think so, because there's a difference between seeing how far they've fallen in just their looks and in their actions. Big difference there.
That makes sense.
Yeah, Theodora is... If she were human, she might find a place to retch.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But since she's not, she's just going to compose herself for a moment and get back on mission to find Fatima.
Back on mission to find Fatima. Very well.
If she's even here.
If she's even here, indeed, yeah. It's a warren of various Cainites here tonight, and who knows who else you might run into. What is happening in the university further tonight? What is Calixtus' next step?
Out of character, I had to look at my notes. Micah had hinted at the palace, but I'm not sure if he was supposed to look at somebody there particularly.
The palace is the place where you go to meet other Cainites. There's no doubt about that. You would have roughly an hour in total if you go there and get back again, so that makes sense. I have a feeling we're going to have 2 Cainites meeting up again.
Oh!
Perhaps forming the coterie.
I'm thinking that's a good
3,
idea
in
this
fact.
time, because that's where he would know to find other Cainites.
That is definitely where he would know how to find other Cainites. And so it was, on strange
They'll make his way there with haste.
That at the... It's not quite the hour of the rooster yet. Whatever hour that is, I have no idea what that might be. But I've pinned the times here, so it's none in Latin. Known with an English pronunciation, which is... No, that's 3 p.m., so that would be bad. It's Lauds. 3 a.m., yeah. Lauds have begun. It's basically the last shift of the night. You will want to complete your errand and get back to your hidey holes fairly soon. But it's still April. It's the Mediterranean. It's not gonna... the sun is not gonna ambush you yet. It's not like you're in Scandinavia or whatever. April, the sunrise is after... say 6 a.m. or so you have a couple of hours left before it gets a bit urgent. But in these palaces, walking on different errands, God himself brings the 3 Cainites together. It's like they're coming in different corridors for different purposes and looking for different people. And since Theodora and Calixtus are actually looking for people, I'm gonna say that you are gonna be running into each other first, maybe? How about that?
Okay.
The vision of beauty that is Theodora is approaching the vision of grotesquerie that is Calixtus.
Hey, but he's just repulsive. There's a difference. So you would see him. He is dressed in the plain black robe habits of a hooded robe habits of a sleepless monk, and he will take a moment when he sees you to politely bow. That's the norm.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll say, "Greetings, I am Calixtus of the Abertus."
Theodora of the Toreador. She will say with a very slight nod. How are you this evening? She will politely ask.
I am blessed with wisdom and purpose. I seek... Would I know anything about Theodora?
No,
Court?
probably not.
So I would assume she's probably a lesser Toreador,
Yeah.
but a Toreador
you
nonetheless.
would have seen her at court once, maybe?
My lady, I have a request of you for your consideration, if I may.
Theodora will just raise an eyebrow and nod and say, "Go ahead."
We spend most of our time in the monastery, studying the divinity within. I have need to go to the Latin Quarter, which is an area of the city that I am unfamiliar with. However, the Toreador are well regarded as another key component of the triumvirate. I was wondering if you would like to accompany me.
To the Latin Quarter. And
Yes, where I think our mutual safety and benefit is beholden if there's more than one of us.
I see. What is this mission that is so important as to require us to go there?
I need to find a mortal that may have some items of information. And I may need to present to the prince, if the term is the right term, of this Latin Quarter. And the prestige of a Toreador would probably garner more respect.
You assume
Not
a
to
great
mention, I would be indebted to return a comparable favor to you at some other time.
You assume a great deal that these Latins would honor any such debt. However,
True, but if there is requested passage by direct blood of two of the Trinity, I think there is a better reception that we could expect versus low clans, for example.
Look, Demetrius, as you were taking a shortcut towards the Senate through the palace area, two Cainites speaking to each other. That is always very interesting, isn't it?
Yes, gossip, information,
Indeed.
possible daggers in the back.
Yes, that too. Which is why you should never turn your back to them, right?
But then they stab you in the front. That's also bad.
Only if they are faster than your reflexes. And your reflexes
Yes.
driven by celerity are fast, right?
I am really fast.
Really fast.
Somebody got some celerity.
I can write faster with it. It's very useful.
Are we gonna talk to them in any way? I mean, they're gonna
This
see
is
you
a curious
approaching.
sight. Here we have a Tzimitzi monk who basically never get out of the monastery talking to someone out of his league. By all appearance.
Yeah. Very strange, right?
Indeed. I suppose I'll slowly approach them.
Look at that young man with his sparkling blue eyes. How can you not speak to him? The young Bruja. Calixtus must know that he is a neonate as well. You were introduced at roughly the same time to court. Not exactly the same time, but... ish.
Do you introduce yourself, Demetrius?
Demetrius will have to bow to these other two because Demetrius has lower status. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will. I will slowly approach them and give them a Slight bow, not too low. They're young too.
Yeah, they're not ancillary or something. But yeah.
Ah, Demetrius. It was a pleasure to see you again. How goes your poetry?
Quite well, I must say. I was on my way to compose some more, though. Hopefully not in apology to anyone this time.
I must say that your apology did impress.
Yes, impressing is always good indeed.
Calixtus, this is Demetrius Graphius of the...
Greetings.
I was like,
A lecturer, are you?
Indeed.
And presumably a learned man, a writer and a scholar.
Yes, I know my letters quite well.
Perhaps.
what is?
You two are acquaintances?
We were introduced to court on the same night. And Demetrius acquitted himself quite well with Tariq, despite a disastrous first impression.
Yes, indeed. I hope to make better first impressions in the future.
You notice as Calixtus is talking with, he hasn't blinked the entire conversation.
Yeah, what is Demetrius's reaction to, for the first time, really seeing one of the fabled body-modified Simish? His way too long fingers. They're just... Fingers shouldn't be that long. That's just wrong.
Initially, I would have been concerned that they didn't participate enough, but seeing how they move, perhaps it is better they stay secluded.
And those eyes that never blink.
Gotta love it. Yeah, and those long Count Warlock fingers,
No.
if you will.
Yep.
I was just speaking with the lovely lady here, Theodora. I am on an errand to the Latin Quarter. And I would like some companions to come with me. And I think perhaps your abilities would be of use and benefit. It is hopefully a minor errand, but it could be of interest.
Oh, the
And I
Latin
would-
quarters. Oh, fascinating. I haven't really been there since my mortal days.
Yes, I must confess I haven't much familiarity of that part of the city either. It's almost its own land, if you will, for what I understand. So I think there is a reputation of some wildness there, so perhaps safety in numbers.
Yes, I would be interested in going there. Might be some useful connections to be made as well.
Theodora scoffs, not among the barbarity.
So Calixtus is still mortal enough to laugh, is he?
He makes a chuckle, but he's not going to quite get the joke.
For Calixtus's benefit, just so that he knows, the player knows, Theodora, if you did not know any better, you would think she's human by the way she reacts. She blinks, she breathes, she doesn't stand stock still. Everything about her physicality and her presentation says she's human. But you know from court and from the, other people that she is a Cainite. But she reacts as if she's human.
Oh, I think Calixtus would observe that. He has a pretty high perception.
Yeah.
She must have blush of life.
Yes, absolutely blush of life, and it goes even beyond that. She has what's called the Mastery of the Masquerade, a Toreador merit, which means it goes beyond that. Her reactions are mortal. She She doesn't have to remember to breathe or to blink or to move. She doesn't appear to be a vampire even when she doesn't know she's being observed.
I would say that's all the more appealing to Calixtus because he's the exact opposite, and he has business with humans, so he needs somebody that is. He wanders around a monastery at night with flesh crafters, somebody that can pass for human and interact much better. So that's why he's primarily interested in both of you.
Awesome.
Contrast between Calixtus and Theodora could not be greater.
No, it really couldn't. One is striving her best to be as human as possible. The other is changing himself nightly to try and get away from it.
Beauty and the Beast much?
Yeah.
Just a wee bit. Well, I wouldn't call Theodora a beast.
Oh, yeah.
Not to her face, anyway.
And
I'm building my own beautiful form. It will take centuries, but I'll get there.
Theodora is far too polite to acknowledge Calixtus's beauty outwardly.
So I would seek that. I would look forward to participating on this as soon as possible. Obviously, tonight is not the night, but perhaps we could meet tomorrow evening to move forward with this errand. I'll look at the two of you.
I will accompany you and grant you this favor.
Demetrius?
Yes, the next evening I shall do. I can make some preparations, at least.
Excellent. Where shall we meet?
If we are heading towards the Latin Quarter, perhaps at the southern gate? Make sure I lost the map. Okay. Alright, so the Latin Quarter is spread out through Constantinople, correct?
Yep.
Where exactly are we headed? There are several portions of the Latin Quarter, Calixtus.
There are, and I don't think Calixtus knows exactly what part of the Latin Quarters we're going to.
Because there's 3 in the central area and 3 or 4 outside of it in various areas of the city.
Yep. Let's bring up the map, shall we? Yeah, okay. There is 4 main quarters. The Venetian, the Pisan, the Amalfita, and the Genoan quarters. All of them slum-like in various ways. And of course you have the South Aswad in the Great Bazaar, which is the neutral ground where you can meet Cainites from the Latin quarters on the off chance that they're there and want to speak to some Greeks. But that's not uncommon.
So she goes to Calixtus and asks, so which of the Latin quarters are we headed to?
All
Where
you
would
have
be?
to go with right now, Calixtus, is name of a human and the name of the order of Catholic monks he's ostensibly with, which is the Benedictines.
I would be curious to know the location of the Benedictine monastery, if there is one, or church.
All right. Oh, I'm sure we can find out where the Benedictine monks are centered. Perhaps we meet by the statue of Helena in the center of the palace here.
That will be over here. The Forum of Constantine obviously has a statue of Constantine.
Yes. No, she was specifically saying the statue of Helen of Troy in the Great Palace. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what she meant.
That makes sense. Look at that! You have a meeting with each other.
We're forming a coterie a bit.
Maybe. It's
Well-
just a simple errand. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
not gonna form a coterie that will last centuries and
Yeah.
be
There's
bonded by trauma and other things.
Right. Yeah, because this
What
is a
could
simple
go
errand.
wrong?
There's nothing that's going to go wrong or complicate this at all.
No, absolutely.
Just saying, the Gilligan's Island 3-hour tour song is just playing in my head.
not.
3-hour tour,
And
5 years later.
and to be fair, Theodora is only doing this because Calixtus said he'd owe her a favor.
See?
Like a minor boon, something of that nature.
Yep.
A minor? She's spending so much time and exposing herself to potential danger. I think this is definitely a major. That's just me. I'm just the storyteller.
We'll see.
We'll see.
It depends on what happens.
Instant mob.
Like, you owe me so much right now, Calixtus. Theodora lying in the muck of a dirty alley somewhere in the Venetian quarters.
Yeah, she was pushed down by a... Yeah, if her clothes get dirty, it goes to a major, I swear to God.
You have to have priorities. You have to have priorities, definitely. I'm not sure your night is over yet. Because you're still in the palace, aren't you?
Yep.
I think we're gonna have someone who's gonna come upon the neonates chatting with each other this night. And it's someone I don't know if Demetrius wants to meet. An old man in his orthodox priest habits. Oh yes. He's coming and nodding towards this coterie. This is a man that all of you will have to bow to very deeply. Because this is Magnus, the custodian of orthodoxy, clan leader of the Orthodox La Sombra. Even though they are scions under Clan Toreador, they are certainly, Magnus is certainly higher ranked than any of you with his lofty
Yeah.
status of 5.
Yes, absolutely.
He's
Theodora will bow very low.
Ancient. I don't even know if you know how old he is, most of you. That would be, let's see now. What do we have here as far as politics goes for our various Cainites? Calixtus is not really fast on his feet thinking, so he wouldn't know. Demetrius also isn't. Your witses are terrible, guys. Well, an elder,
Yes.
definitely. That's as far as we know.
Someone who
I have-
deserves a great deal of respect.
Yes. Yes, absolutely that.
Would theology knowledge, the cult being undead, give me an idea who he might be? Or?
No, this is politics. This is status. The game of the hierarchy and prestige.
At least we can follow Theodora's example and bow deeply, so that helps.
You can, yes.
I do have a dot in politics, if that's relevant.
You do, yeah. It's almost as if the shadows behind him shift a little bit on their own as he walks. I don't know why that might be, but he will stop, in fact, and then he will look to Demetrius. Demetrius Graphius of the Lexur. I bid you a good morning soon, but before you retire for your day sleep, perhaps you could do me the courtesy of explaining your long conversation with Father Stathis earlier this night.
I'm thinking, oh shit, what's the problem with that? What do I tell him?
What do you tell him? A La Sombra elder. Yeah, come on, lie to him. You know you want to.
How's your subterfuge pool looking?
Not that confident in the ability to lie to the La Sombra.
Why not? I'm almost...
'Cause they lie the best.
What?
Yes, they're very good at obfuscating the truth.
Not at all. They don't even have
But
the...
nothing untoward intended, of course. Simply trying to gather some information. No designs of any kind on what would fall within your purview, my lord.
It's probably better to call him Your Holiness. He's a priest.
Your Holiness.
He will nod to himself. Good. We serve different families in the Trinity, and I would hate to have to involve Cassidors because Natalia has decided to overstep her bonds. And he just falls silent and walks on with that.
Mm,
Theodora will turn and look at Demetrius and just say, "You don't know that you do not mess with the church?"
was simply having a conversation with the priest. Certainly, with the amount of priests around, simply a friendly discussion is not infringing on anyone.
Be sure it does not go beyond that without that gentleman's permission.
Yes, I'll keep in mind not to poach anything or anyone.
I bet you will. We are coming to the end of the night, folks, and I'm curious how Calyxtus and Theodora and Demetrius, respectively, will spend the final hours of the night before you retire for the day. Are we
Well,
back?
I think Theodora will give up on finding Fatima tonight.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be in the palace tonight. Maybe she's
Right.
there tomorrow night. You never know. There's always a chance, a risk, possibility, but
So, yeah, but Theodora needs to start thinking along the path of years instead of nights.
yep.
She will say, okay, another night. She will eventually show up at court and we can have a conversation. Until then, she has another mission tomorrow. A boon for a fellow member of the Trinity and an education for a member of the Lexor.
Indeed. And Calixtus, what is he gonna do to finish off the night?
Imagine he has to get back to the monastery fairly soon.
Yep.
Is there any part of the palace that is known to be like Cainite Central? Or is it just the whole place
The whole place, really. Yeah.
tends to have irregulars moving around?
Yep. I mean, there are some Cainites who make their havens within the palace, but I don't think Calixtus would know who.
I think at the moment unless I'm forgetting anything from Micah, I think he's accomplished his purpose here at the palace. He has made a couple contacts who have agreed to join him.
He has, yes.
And is aware that there is at least one religiously associated Cainite of a higher power than him, individually, here, who is separate from the Albertus. I think the Magnus is not under the Albertus.
No.
I think he's under the Michael, the Theodora, isn't he?
Yep.
Okay, so I think he will take his leave and head back to the monastery of the Albertus.
Indeed. And Demetrius will
Yeah,
finally get his chance to write some poetry.
I will look forward to seeing you at the statue tomorrow evening.
Demetrius,
Indeed.
poetry, it's the best thing, isn't it? Why are
Yes,
you a
and
Bruja
hopefully-
again?
Because it is important for me to do some diplomacy with my writing.
Yes, it is. Clearly. Night is coming to an end, and you will all be retiring to your coffins. I don't know that you have coffins, to be honest. I could imagine Calixtus having one just for the principle of it, but I also think he's just sleeping in a monk cubicle in the basement floor of the temple.
I think with his schizotypal thing, he probably has a pretty large monk chamber somewhere in the lower levels, where he's got a little bit of a collection that he meditates amongst.
It's not going to be a terribly large chamber because you just haven't had the chance yet to develop your hobbies, as it were, or your interests. Right now,
yeah, no, that might actually be something he develops later.
Yeah,
yeah, I would say in that case a cell,
yeah,
below grade, I would think.
You have to work on that part. That's the next step in his. He's been so focused on his own body and all that, so it will come. It will come. Calixtus, incidentally, is the first one to fall asleep. And about an hour later, Theodora and Demetrius will sleep, and Demetrius is sleeping in a closet in the Senate, hoping that no witch hunter finds him.
Why would they go into the palace?
Exactly. There's absolutely no reason for them to do that. While Theodora has her apartment far away from the city center with, I don't know, a closet stuck up against the window and lots of sheets and beddings and whatnot to make sure that not a single ray of sunlight can pop through, and then she sleeps under the bed on the mattress. I don't know.
Lots of covers and yes, definitely boarded up or blocked windows.
And a properly locked door on top of all that.
So let's see, before sleeping, can I do that poem stuff then?
You can, yes.
I'll just make one for Magnus to appease him.
Ah. Oh, Magnus, you magnificent bastard. I mean... Did you want to roll for writing a poetry?
Yes.
Okay, then. It's not gonna be charisma, is it? Let's do intelligence expression, which is also a good one for you.
Yes, I wonder how that happened.
No idea. It's a mystery to all.
And this can be extended as well.
Yeah, but you only have time for one roll before you fall asleep.
Yeah, I can always see how that goes. Let's see.
Just 6 successes. It's almost like
I think I'll be satisfied
with
with that already.
6 successes is just so lame. How dare you even show yourself to others with such terrible results?
Shoot a piece, Magnus, once I have it sent to him.
Yep, I can see that. Yeah, he's
unless he hates rhymes somehow.
Unless I think he likes art, but he's not a Toreador, so he's probably not gonna cry bloody tears over it. But if you write something in the vein of King David, there's poetry in the Bible. There's verse. So I feel like you could tap into that. You'll don't
probably
have,
appreciate
no, you can't,
it
because
more
your theology is terrible.
As...
You are writing in the... You will definitely, as an academic, you will certainly have heard of King David's poetry, but I don't think you know enough about theology to mimic the Bible's verse rhythm at all, because your theology is terrible. It's non-existent. So I think you're
Luckily, the other writing makes up for it.
Are we doing a hexameter here, like Homer style? The Odyssey or the Iliad? The old classic?
Yeah, given how old Magnus is, he'll probably appreciate that more.
That makes sense. All right, you have composed over an hour a page of epic poetic writing in his glory. And
he'll probably appreciate it more for being able to show it off to others than the actual thing itself.
Yes, that might be the case. That might indeed be the case. And so they all fall asleep, each in their own sleeping quarters, in a torpid state, as simple dead bodies And the life of Constantinople above them goes on. And it becomes a bright sunny day out there. And it's a good thing to not be a Cainite outside now, because that would be terrible. And also, our good friend Demetrius is very lucky this day, because he doesn't get bothered in the closet.
Stay out of my closets.
Is it a closet, or is it like a basement, or is it like in an attic somewhere? I don't know. Where are you?
Good question. Where am I?
I don't know.
I'm
Where are
safe
you?
as long as even I don't know.
I guess an intelligence politics role might put you somewhere, or legerdemain. We don't have streetwise here in this system, in this Dark Ages era. Legerdemain is the closest we get, so I think that, or stealth perhaps. Intelligence, stealth. Any of those are terrible checks for you. You're just plain lucky this day that nobody wants to actually open the door behind which you sleep. Dear. If any of the people watching or listening to this are new to Vampire the Masquerade, then I would highly recommend not going to sleep the way Demetrius does it. Having a good, solid haven is very recommended. Very recommended indeed. And he doesn't.
Not yet, but I will get one at some point once I'm no longer poor.
Yeah,
Does
that makes sense.
any of us have resources?
Yep, I do.
Oh, Theodora, that would make sense.
Yep. The hours pass, and eventually, of course, we will have a couple of Cainites on this April 20th, 1197, who wake from their slumber. And that's going to be Demetrius and Theodora, because they are not close to the beast the way Calixtus is. And this time it is in fact Theodora who wakes first. So what might she do in her haven this night?
Alright, so first
I
and foremost,
have your havens.
first and foremost, we spend a blood point to wake up.
Yes,
Secondly, I need to roll to see if the nightmares have taken me this evening.
Yes, have they?
Let's see. It is. Hold on, let me check the difficulty. Difficulty is 7 on a willpower check. So,
Yep.
7.
Have you gotten any willpowers back last night? Let me double check.
I didn't spend any.
Oh, then you can't even get any back.
Yeah.
That's right, we have a daily point recover.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you
the
recover one
nightmares-
every night as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Look
And
at
the
that. You have a will of steel. And wake up, perhaps of a start, but very quickly the nightmares that fueled your day sleep will dissipate. And you will not feel affected by them at all, Theodora. Isn't that nice?
Yes. We didn't exactly establish a time to me, other than
You could have. I'll allow you to retcon that, because you had a chat in the palace and everything, and I'm just going to assume that you are able to meet up with each other.
All right. Theodora would like to go ahead and hunt tonight,
That makes sense.
because while she's not hungry, she never wants to get there again.
That also makes sense. Alright, so how are we hunting tonight? Theodora doesn't have a herd yet, though she's...
Yes, she does.
Oh, she does! Look at that.
She has a point of herd.
Excellent. That will
So
actually reduce the difficulty of her hunting check by one
Yes.
step.
So
No, it adds a die to your hunting, right?
Yeah, adds a
That's
die.
what it does. It adds a die. Where are we
So
hunting then?
she's going to. She doesn't want to do a big performance this time. She's just going to hunt in her local neighborhood, see if she can find someone who's aesthetically not homeless. You know.
Very well. I'm gonna set the difficulty to a 6, because it's not slums, but it's also not the most tightly patrolled areas. And what are we doing to hunt here? We're doing a seduction, aren't we?
Yes.
Is it a performance again, or are we doing a subterfuge thing?
It's performance. It's
Okay,
performance.
yeah, that playing to your strength makes sense.
Yep.
You
So-
have 9 dice on this. I don't even think you need to roll with 9 dice because
Yeah,
half of them
that's
will
right.
succeed.
Yeah, I'll just succeed, take the automatic success,
Yep.
and she will very carefully only drain 3 blood from the person that she finds.
Yeah, that makes
and-
sense.
And then once she has fed, she will head over to the Grand Palace.
Very well. What about our friend who lives in an office downtown because that's how dedicated he is to his work? Or does he? He's gonna be in an office sooner or later downtown, isn't he? So... Demetrius! Yeah.
Yes.
You're awake, you're in the Senate building, you are haunting it like the living dead that you are. And nobody disturbed your day sleep again, but I don't know. Let's see now. I'm gonna have a roll here. Let's see. You're a very intelligent creature, and I think you will be smart enough to realize that this is a terrible temporary solution, and sooner or later, one of the servants or one of the bureaucrats or one of anyone around here will
The
stumble
Emperor.
upon your corpse during the day and gonna freak out about it. It's the mathematical certainty, you have academics after all, is just there. So I don't know how long you're gonna keep sleeping here, but for now, that's what you're doing. You need a domain, man. That's what it is.
Yes, but how does one get a domain? By having the resources to maintain it.
This is the good question, isn't it? You've started working on the domain, Bart.
I was about to say, sounds like a project.
Yeah, he started working on that already. Have we rolled for that yet? No, we haven't, because I can't see any project, no, I think we did a couple of sessions ago, so the project die should be at 10, and it will be reduced over time. But anyhow, what are we doing this particular night? Demetrius, you're gonna go and
Probably
feed
get some
maybe?
feeding in first.
Yeah, have you spent a blood point for waking up?
Oh no, I'll do that now.
You're
Go.
gonna get hungry,
I'll just get a prostitute immediately instead of bothering with going to an alley.
It's a hunting roll, isn't it? Where are we going to hunt is the question.
Where the prostitutes are.
So the slums, then.
Yep.
It's always the cheapest, isn't it? Also, I don't know that you can afford a prostitute, sir, because...
I
You
still
have-
have a salary, even if I don't.
Oh, you have
You know,
no salary. You have no
I don't
resources.
get paid even anymore.
No.
Nope.
In
You do it for
V5,
the
you have
good
a
of the
basic
city.
salary if you have no resources, but in V20, no. You are literally a beggar-level poverty.
You're a Bruja, just mug somebody.
No,
We are
he's a
cultured here,
civilized
cultured.
Bruja, thank you very much. Not like some, I don't know, weirdo from Northern Europe. This is New
We're
Rome.
civilized here.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have the money to buy prostitution services, sir. I guess we're going to the slums again. But how are we hunting exactly, Demetrius?
It's a good question. I'll just hold off on it for now.
You're gonna hold off on hunting?
Yes, I'm sure it'll be fine.
I'm sure it will be fine, yes.
I will just have to
absolutely.
get myself a domain and some resources within the next 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah, that's how quickly you can get it. Absolutely, yes. That's- we love it.
Yes, so I'm considering here, given my artistic talents, to just apply more directly for some sort of form of patronage from the Toreador.
Please fund me in my poetry.
It's Well, I'm thinking my chances aren't too bad, given the general quality
No, you have
of
an
my writing.
amazing level of artistic spirit. So I think there's a whole bunch of Toreador who were wondering why you are a Bruja. Like, why
Yes,
did you
I think
steal
it would
him
be a
from
good
us?
idea for me to approach the poetry fellow I impressed earlier.
Tariq.
The poet, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
how are you even... Why did Natalia steal this obvious Toreador from the clan? Will this become a source of contention between Clan Toreador and
Hope
Clan
not.
Bruja? Perhaps down the line, we
I'm
don't
just
know.
trying to get everyone closer together for the good of the city and my own personal wallet.
And your own, your own personal wallet. So since you're not gonna go hunting, what is the first thing Demetrius does this night?
Seek out the Toreador.
This early in the night? Yeah, sure, it's gonna be easy enough to get over to the palace. But who might
I'll just,
be in the palace?
I'll go to the palace and I'll draft up a more formal request for funding. In exchange for any art produced being credited to whichever one decides to become my patron.
I'm good. You can't even do that. You're a sign of the Ventru. If you start swearing fealty to Toreador,
I'm not
the
swearing
whole
fealty,
treaty
this
system
is purely,
break down.
purely business dealing.
Except that it's not, because everything is a boon or a favor.
Yeah.
Even if it's just...
Oh, sure, if you can do the Toreador favors. Okay, so that's your in. You're gonna schmooze Theodora to get her to connect you to the rest of Clan Toreador so they can pay you in boons for your amazing poetry. Is that what we're planning to do here?
Perhaps.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're easier to impress with that.
Yes, definitely easier to impress with that.
Just put this out there, but if you're beholden to the Ventru, there might be a Ventru amongst your patrons that your Lexor patrons that I wouldn't mind having some artistic works that they could use to show up some Toreador.
Mhm.
Just an idea. You don't want to piss off the Toreador too much.
No, you don't want to do that. The Ventru have a claim on you, Demetrius. The Ventru have a claim. And you have a job to do for Natalia as well, which you are pursuing, obviously, but yeah.
That would keep you out of trouble with the Ventru, though.
I suppose it would.
I'm trying to cover my bases so that I'm not fully reliant on one party.
It's almost like you're getting yourself into an entanglement of intrigues.
Woo.
Whoa.
What's the worst?
You want at least 2 different groups to objective someone where to want to cut off your head, really.
Well, let's see. I am checking my notes twice, and you're gonna be very surprised to find out that the first Cainite you meet here tonight is probably not at all, let me see here, one of the Toreador. I'm sure you're going to be very pleased to know that it is instead one of your own true patrons, one of your lords and overlords, one of the Ventru clan. That's your favorite, isn't it?
I haven't interacted much with them so far, really.
You interact with them all the time, don't you? It's your job, after all.
Yes, but not in a societal sense, I'd say.
Fair enough. On this particular night, we're gonna have some people here. Let's see now. What am I doing? Who am I? What am I doing? Oh, I'm the GM. That's who I am. Gee, you just ambushed me like that. Yeah, tonight, in fact, the person you will meet at this wonderful great palace will in fact be Constantine Ducas, which I'm sure you appreciate and very happy about. Constantine Duca. You've learned all the names by heart, haven't you? He's a Ventru Ancilla, and he is the palace prefect. Which means that he's basically to some effect, the Master of Elysium, or the palace is his domains, anyway. So you're all his guests. Every time you go into the palace. You will see him
Or
walking
just don't
down.
leave the palace.
What was that?
Or just not leaving the palace.
Exactly. You will see him walking down one of the corridors of this place. I don't know exactly what you want to do with that. He's gonna nod towards you. Don't know that he is necessarily terribly interested in speaking to Demetrius, the lowly Bruja.
I'll just give him a bow and continue on my way.
Just like that?
So I'll make amends. I don't want to interrupt him when he's not inclined to speak with me. He probably gets bothered all the time.
Ish. Obviously, being the palace prefect.
I want to pen down an appealing proposal first, and then I can decide on who to take it to.
Oh, okay. But he's at least going to nod your way and expect the proper deep bow, of course.
Of course.
And he's going to look at you with his scrutinizing eyes and say, Demetrius, child of Natalia, is it?
Indeed, my lord.
Up early this evening?
I
That
do
pleases
tend
me.
to rise fairly early, yes.
It is a Friday evening. We will hold court soon. Expect you will attend, of course. Long silence.
I'm just thinking, am I expected to attend? And what of my other obligations this evening?
Nobody is actually forced to attend court. Court is an interesting... It's like, really, it's a Ventru tradition, so most of the Ventru will be there. But for others, it's very optional, and you won't lose face for not attending. Unless someone who is senior to you have explicitly asked you to attend court, of course.
Oh no.
Which he just did. But aside from that, it's an interesting ritual. I think all of you have been through it by now, at least once. It starts with a visit to the baths, the Triclinium's baths, and then where you're there, you're soothing, after you completed your bath, you're soothing your dead flesh with some massages. There are Ventru ghouls who are doing deep oil rubs and so on. And then, of course, the Ventru and their ghouls will play a game of polo, probably, near the Bucolion. And then there's going to be a banquet hall for a feast, and all sorts of mortals are served up for all the various tastes. And after that, there will be entertainment from either Gregorius or Gregory or Petronius. And then after the entertainment is actual intriguey things behind closed doors.
I suppose we skipped the bath and polo when we were introduced.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to the bath and polo when you were introduced because you weren't accepted by the court yet. But now you are allowed the bath and polo. And massage. Can't forget the massage.
I wonder how many people met an unfortunate end expecting a massage there, but...
Oh, just a few. No, that never happens. It's fight ground, that. You can't violate the ritual, can you?
Unless it's convenient.
So you have met Constantine Ducas, who just basically said, yeah, and it's gonna be great to see you at court tonight. Yeah.
I'm just thinking, okay, I can't really get out from under it if he's explicitly stated it.
Who knows? Who knows? But meanwhile, in the monastery Someone wakes in his crypt. And who could that be? We know who that could be. It could be Calixtus! Yeah, he wakes later than the rest of y'all. Definitely.
How much later do I wake?
I'm gonna set it to about half an hour later. Because you are
Okay.
down 2 steps.
Is that a half hour after sunset or half an hour collect like total
It's
like an hour?
I'm knocking it off like a 15-minute per dot, lower than 7. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's gonna be half an hour after sunset. And sunset is just before 8 in April.
Very good. I need to roll for my faceless flaw.
Yes, you do.
See if I have my game face on or not.
Oh, dar, I lost my face. Did you lose your face?
Let's see. I think I did. A score of 7. Unrecognizable by even
You're
those
closest to your character.
Such as packmates or sire, ethnicity and gender may change, but I'm not a monster. That's
Okay,
a 9 or
then.
10. It's like my tentacles on my face.
You want to roll 1 to 3, and that's not gonna happen often, is it?
Yeah. That's a flaw. It's a fun one, though. I can use vicissitude to fix it.
You can indeed. Malleable visage and a mirror. You're waking up and you're looking in the mirror and going, that's not what they saw yesterday.
Not by a good bit.
Not by a good
Let's
bit.
see. That's with malleable vision. Is that Dex plus medicine?
Exactly. And normally a malleable face is malleable visage is a difficulty of 6, but for you it's a 4. Because you're doing it on yourself. But you do have to spend a blood point, so that's an extra cost for you.
Indeed.
Almost every night, yeah. Did you want to roll, or are we just taking it for granted?
Oh yeah, I'm rolling right
Dex
now.
and medicine is pretty
Difficulty
good.
4. Dex plus medicine.
Yeah, you're good. You're just...
My charming self once again.
You're like, I don't look like an old crone with long stripy purple hair. What's that all about? Okay,
There you
get
go.
The
They should have like a separate
wrinkles
chart,
out and-
like what your traits change by. When do you look male? Do you look female? Do you look like Greek? Do you look Muslim? Do you look like European or something? I don't know. Different things. That'd be funny.
Exactly.
But I fixed that.
And that, my
I-
friends, is an
Go ahead.
excellent moment for us to pause this story, just at the cusp of everybody meeting together at the palace to go to do shenanigans in the Latin quarters, isn't it?
May I pay a quick visit to my herd on the way? I want to give another drop to my cult leader.
They may or may not be there. We'll get to that in a week from now, won't
All right.
we?
Do that next time. Then.
Yes. Excellent. And if you have been watching or listening, thank you very much. Remember, go to startplaying.games if you want to play with me. On this Twitch channel, follow. On YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell, subscribe, algorithm god sacrifices. And we will see you in a week. See you all.
I
Algorithm god sacrifices.